I just pulled up this article just to punctuate the point I was making with Pete, that Islam, what we're seeing happening, that the media is running around and our politicians running around saying, this is not real Islam, this is not real Islam. Listen, I beg to differ. First of all, we've had experts in here, people that were born and raised in Islam, and have broken from it after decades in their life. One guy, almost all of his life. They beg to differ. They know what Islam is. I beg you, read the Quran. You'll discover for yourself. Don't take my word for it. What you're seeing happening around the world is the teaching of the Prophet Muhammad. The one that Obama said, there's no room in this world for those who malign the Prophet Muhammad. Well, is there room in this world for people who malign Jesus Christ? Is there room in the world for people who malign the Christian, the Bible, the Word of God? There sure seems to be a lot of room in the world for that. But there's no room in the world for a guy that founded a religion of pure, I'm going to be careful, pure violence and mayhem and destruction. There's no room in the world for people who would criticize that? Okay, now, just in case there's somebody listening who's involved in Islam, and they say, well, Carl, you don't know what you're talking about. All right, okay. Let me read this Fox News article. It comes right out of Saudi Arabia, okay? A Saudi Arabian blogger sentenced to 1,000 lashes and 10 years in jail for insulting Islam, received his first 50 lashes outside of a mosque in the city of Jeddah Friday. Okay, I can't pronounce the guy's name. Rauf Badawi. He's the co-founder of a now banned website called Liberal Saudi Network. Was flogged 50 times after morning prayers in the Red Sea city, witnesses said. They brought him to the mosque in a police car. The authorities read the charges, and then they beat him with 50 lashes. Now, he still has 950 lashes to go, but the reason they do it in 50 lash times is because most people don't survive 50 lashes, much less 1,000. Now, this is Islam, people. This is not radical Islam. This is Islam. And what's he being beat for? 10 years? In a rat hole of a Saudi Arabian prison and 1,000 lashes. What? Why? Because he dared speak against Islam on the internet. There's Islam for you. Ask all the women in the Saudi Arabian or the Islamic countries that aren't allowed driver's licenses, have to cover up, they're treated like less than dogs. People, don't get on the news and tell me this stuff we see going on. Oh, that's radical Islam. That's not regular Islam. Well, let's say they're right. Well, let me just say, based upon what I just read and what I just said, regular Islam ain't so hot either. Well, see, I'm not stupid. I can read. I can research. I've got contacts around the world. I can talk to people. You sit around and watch Fox News and CNN, CBS, ABC, your brain will go dumb on you after a while. Well, that's now what we're seeing in France now. That you guys, please don't panic. Please don't be upset about Muslim Brotherhood being in the White House and Dearborn, Michigan being taken over by Sharia law because, that's good for America. Yeah. Okay. Well, anyway, let's go to the phone lines before I spit all over the microphone more. I mean, I'm spitting as I'm talking. I'm getting a little Baptist preacher, Dave calling from Florida. Thank you, Dave, for listening to Freedom Friday today. You want to talk more about Islam? Go ahead, man.
Just a little bit. If you give me a second here, let me wipe my ear off.
Okay. Man, I've got an image going through my head now. That's killing. It's killing me.
I'll tell you what.
Okay.
Right on with it. I just heard. I was listening to the news, and they just came out that Al Qaeda in Yemen has claimed this one, and they said it was to avenge the honor of the prophet, who has no honor, never did have. He's a miserable little person. But if anybody's got any doubt about any of this, just read the Quran.
Thank you.
You can go to the bookstores and buy it secondhand.
Thank you.
You can look at 4 different dozen versions, and it's all the same.
Thank you.
It's a simple book for simple idiots.
Thank you. And I'm not. So, in other words, you're saying that what I'm saying is correct.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I read the thing, and then I read it several times more to be sure I got it right.
And so the bottom.
interpret this thing. I mean, when somebody says, oh, well, there are parts of it that are the good parts and the bad parts, nonsense.
Thank you. And this is what's being taught in mosques all over the world, all over America, and yet the politicians and the media, the idiots, either they're completely ignorant and stupid, or they're being purposely deceptive to us. They're getting on our television every night and patting us on the head and assuring us, oh, now regular Islam isn't like that, don't worry. But they're lying to us. Either that or they're completely ignoramus.
Well, we have some of both, and I won't go into names, but there's some of them are very ignorant people who go along to get along, and some of them are doing it purposely, like our prez or whoever the guy is occupying the White House. Who everything he does is on purpose. Yeah. He is not naive. He doesn't make mistakes. He is not ill-informed. Every single thing he does has purpose.
Right.
And people must understand it. We've got to understand that this guy is the worst thing that's come along since I don't know when.
I know. Well, Dave,
he is really bad.
Yeah.
So anyhow.
Yeah. Dave, listen, I agree with you, man. I agree with you, and you just jumped right in the middle of me going off and spitting all over the microphone with this stuff. I think, Dave, and by the way, God bless you. Thanks for listening, Dave, and for calling. I think that most of our listeners get this. Most of our listeners are brilliant and rather well-read, and they listen to a lot of good talk radio, and particularly those programming on WEBY and right here on Freedom Friday every week, and we bring the stuff to you. As a matter of fact, Dr. Grace is coming up out of Washington in a little bit, and then Brandon Bigby with all his research. And so, you hear stuff and you learn things here. It's cutting edge radio here, because how many times have Dr. Grace and I talked about things politically, and people people got spitting mad with us. But then a few weeks later or a few months later, it happened just as we had prognosticated. That's good stuff. How many times have Brandon and I and Mike Shoesmith and I spoke of prophetic things, biblical things, geopolitical things, and talked of even conspiracy theories where we were raising an eye and investigating things. Said this doesn't look right, and sure enough, weeks later, months later, some cases years later, the mainstream media is covering it and saying the same thing we said first. Weeks before, or months before, sometimes years before. So, that's why you need to be here. But so, Dave, I think most people get it, but it just amazes me at the number of people who still don't get it. And, of course, I guess they're the ones that just sit around every night and watch Fox News, and watch CNN and listen to people get up there and say, now, don't worry, this is not real Islam. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. This is what Muhammad taught, and that's what the Quran records, and that's what's taught in the mosque every single week all over America. I grant you that probably not every mosque is strapping bombs to their children and calling for the complete annihilation and destruction of America in that sense. I grant you that. There are those who are, though, all over the world, and they are more radically speaking out. Okay, I grant you that. But don't tell me, somebody who's well-read and well-educated and well-connected to people who have been in Islam all their life, don't tell me that what we're seeing happen in Iraq, what we're seeing happen in France, what we've seen happen in our own nation from the beginning of our nation, don't tell me that that's not regular Islam, because it is regular Islam. The idiot in the White House, the man from nowhere, the man who causes astounding devastation wherever he goes. Okay, that guy, that guy, the guy that doesn't have the credentials to play Little League softball in Northwest Florida. That guy, okay? He has, and I'm going to have to paraphrase again, but you can research this. It's on the internet. I'm not lying to you. He's actually made statements about Islam being part of the foundation of America and Islam contributing to the founding of America and the foundation of America, and went on to quote as one of his statistical facts for that ludicrous statement he made. He went on to say, well, Thomas Jefferson had a Quran in his office and read it quite frequently, and I've seen Jefferson's Quran, and okay. But as you know, most of the listeners know this, Thomas Jefferson got a Quran. You can read his writings. He tells us why he had a Quran. Because the Barbary pirates were devastating the open seas and trade and the trade routes and shipping from all over Europe and the United States. And he understood that he had to stop this, but he had to understand their mindset. The Barbary pilots were Muslims. And so he got a Quran, he read it, he realized how thoroughly weird and corrupt it was. And from that, he operated his war against Islam. The very first international war, I guess you would say, or foreign war that America fought under our third president, Thomas Jefferson, the Barbary pirates. Go read this. Jump on the internet right now and read it. That's why he had an Islamic Quran. But the man in the White House, the man from nowhere, didn't tell you that, did he? No, Islam had a part with the founding of this nation, yes. A violent, wicked, devastating part as this nation was founded. See what happens when you listen to Freedom Friday? I'm so glad that you're listening this afternoon. Wow. We've got so much more to do. I'm going to tell you, before we move on, and I do want to get to this Wall Street Journal article because it is astounding, and the observations it made and the Pew poll that it quotes, it's going to blow you away, folks, if you haven't heard it. And plus, I've got my own take and observation and interpretation of it, as you can well imagine. And if you want to be a part of the show and agree or disagree or add information,